Good morning. Today is it's Tuesday, October 2nd. It's Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. My name is Gary Steele. I serve as judge of the 274th District Court, and I am chair of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. At this time, I will ask the other members of the commission to identify themselves for the record, and we'll start on my right, y'all's left.
Derek Cohen, public.
Donald Tiggerino, Webb County Judge.
Wayne Money, Justice of the Peace.
Chase Craig, Municipal Judge.
Justice Ken Wise, 14th Court of Appeals.
Kerry Walker, Judge of County Criminal Court Number 2, Tarrant County, Texas.
Andy Kahn, public member, Harris County.
My name's Clifford Harbin, public member of Montgomery County.
I'm Kathy Ward, and I'm a public member from Collin County.
I'm Janice Holt. I'm a public member from Hardin County.
Today's proceedings are being conducted pursuant to Section 33.0055 of the Texas Government Code, which requires the Commission in an even number of years to hold one public hearing to consider comment from the public regarding the Commission's mission and operations. To that end, we are here today to accept public comment from those of you who have completed and submitted the witness affirmation form included with the Commission's notice of this meeting on matters that pertain to the Commission's mission and operations. As a reminder, the registration period for those wishing to speak closed at 9 a.m. today. Forms received after that time may be considered at the chair's discretion. We've got a big stack. I probably won't, but we'll take that under consideration. I will now read to you the Commission's mission statement. The mission of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct is to protect the public, promote public confidence in the integrity, independence, competence, and impartiality of the judiciary, and encourage judges to maintain high standards of conduct both on and off the bench. The Commission accomplishes this mission through its investigation of allegations of public misconduct or incapacity. In cases where a judge is found to have engaged in misconduct or to be permanently incapacitated, the Texas Constitution authorizes the Commission to take appropriate disciplinary action up to and including issuing sanctions, censures, suspensions, or recommendations for removal from office. Please be advised that Section 33.0055 also provides that your comments are to be considered in a manner which does not compromise the confidentiality of matters considered by the Commission. In order to satisfy this provision, we ask you not to discuss a complaint or investigation that is or may be pending in our office, or that has been dismissed, or that resulted in private discipline. By law, those matters remain confidential. Likewise, please be advised that this is not a forum for filing grievances against judges or for asking the Commission to reconsider a decision relating to any complaint filed against a judge. There are specific procedures in place for bringing this type of information to the Commission's attention, and we ask that you please follow those protocols. Remember, your testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. We've got a red light will come on when your 3 minutes are up at the podium, and I ask that you sum up quickly and please be seated once that red light comes on. I will remind you that you may submit additional written testimony or in lieu of oral testimony. Since the sole purpose of this hearing is to consider public comment, Commission members and Commission staff will not be responding to any questions or discussing the testimony of any witness. Any comments from the Commission will come through the chair. This hearing is being recorded. If you would like a copy of the recording, please submit a written request to the agency through its Executive Director, Jacqueline Habersham. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I've got a stack. I don't know what order they're in. When I call your name, approach. Please state your name and identify whether you are here on behalf or on your own behalf or on behalf of a specific entity or organization. If you have written materials that have not already been submitted, those may be submitted by mail to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, P.O. Box 12265, Austin, Texas 78711. Reggie Ruffin, you may go first.
Can you read who's on deck so they can be ready?
George Saldana will be next. I would also remind all of you that it is against the law to photograph, record anything for this commission today. I'll remind you all there is going to be a recording. It will be available upon request through the executive director. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, council, and I appreciate having this opportunity to speak. My name is Reggie Ruffin. I'm a civil rights advocate in Dallas, and I'm here representing not just myself, but also a young lady whose son has been convicted of a crime that is questionable about whether he committed or not because of the fact that the DNA evidence was created from a lab that was closed for 30 years, and they submitted this as evidence. Then when they did the appeal, they claimed that the DNA does not have any credit as far as the conviction. So it seems to be very confusing how a lot of the matters were handled, just like the fact that the young man was convicted based upon testimony that violated his 5th, his 14th, and his Sixth Amendment rights. So it seems that seems like it's a lot of things going through that make people want to file. I mean, when they convict someone, they're trampling over a lot of constitutional rights and amendments just to get the 13th Amendment right. If that makes any sense. I also wanted to talk about how it seems that the rule of opinion overstates the rule of law. I have sent salient complaints here many a times, and they always come back saying they looked over it and they didn't see anything wrong, despite the fact I clearly put and noted what violations were compromised and what was done, because, like I said, some of the judges in Dallas County, they don't follow the rules at all. Matter of fact, I had a mediation that was set to start on the 29th of July, and then they had a meeting on the 28th and threw the case out throughout both cases. And I have the case files right here. I have everything just to show that, hey, this is something, it's not a game that I'm playing. I wouldn't waste no one's time on this, because integrity is very important, and it seems like integrity is something that's been lost in our time. And I'm really just hoping, and I'm really imploring that somebody gets this thing right, because a lot of lives are depending on these things getting done right. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. George Saldana. Next is Charlie Maloof after Mr. Saldana.
What law was it for not to record in a public hearing? We always get that all the time, but, well, whenever you're ready, I'll start.
You may proceed.
My name is George Saldana, and I'm here to address a matter of public concern under Chapter 27 of the Texas Civil and Practice Remedies Code. My focus today is the lack of judicial oversight in the Texas family courts, particularly by the SCJC. I will reference the U.S., Texas Constitution, Texas Government Code, and the Texas Judicial Canons, along with the Texas Lawyers' Creed. My concerns, shared by many, highlighted failures in holding judges accountable. This is the third time I've addressed this commission, and the issues remain the same. Y'all don't investigate. You tell people you do thorough investigations, and I know for a fact, because I have my witnesses here, I've submitted affidavits to the grievance committee. 15 affidavits. And not one of my witnesses was called. Not one. We complained about this 2 years ago, back in that back building. Y'all tell these people that you are going to look through their grievances, and y'all don't even do a thorough investigation. It's pitiful. These people are fighting for their children in family courts, and you have judges that aren't enforcing the law. They're threatening contempt for people observing their courts, violating our First Amendment right. I've been held in contempt for trying to litigate my case. I had bailiffs remove me. Then I got beat up by a bailiff, charged with assault with bodily injury for asking for his supervisor because of the occurrences that have happened before. Bailiffs are targeting us for wanting accountability and transparency. We've discussed these issues in the past, and it still hasn't gotten any better. Why am I going to jail to be a dad? Why am I here? Why am I going to the steps of the Capitol to be a dad? Houston, Harris County, Tarrant County, Dallas, the Valley, El Paso, they're all doing it. Family law is a business. You guys are in charge of taking care of that, being our eyes for the public. That's what y'all were established for under the Constitution. Article 5, Section 1A, 1A6, that says that when a judge is indicted or they are charged, they can be suspended. I have filed 2 criminal complaints on judges, and I encourage these people to file criminal complaints because we don't have relief in the courts and we don't have relief in the Oversight Commission. The only relief we have is official oppression and abuse of office. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Charlie Maloof. Next will be, and I apologize, Shankel Sherman, and I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. Sir, you may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, distinguished members of this commission. My name is Charlie Maloof. I'm an honorably retired and decorated Chief of Police, decorated military veteran with 29 years of service to my country. According to the Justice System Journal, Volume 28, Number 3, 2007, going back to the 1960s, all 50 states, Texas included, established a judicial conduct organization charged with investigating and prosecuting complaints against judicial officers. During my 29 years in law enforcement, I investigated numerous criminal cases, including several international organized crime cases with multiple defendants and cases involving public officials. In all of these cases, I had to establish and present for a warrant probable cause. For 10 years, I lectured at Texas State University Criminal Justice in the upper-level advanced investigations classes, teaching the making of an organized crime, which included establishing probable cause. In January 2019, in a bribery complaint to the Commission, I presented evidence, included a recording of a meeting headed by an employee of a municipality representing the municipality, along with documentary evidence of 2 money trails to the judge by persons who had motive, means, and opportunity, and who were directly involved in the respective criminal case, only to be told by your investigator that I needed to come back with a law enforcement finding, and then you would immediately DQ the judge. Why do I need a law enforcement finding? I know what probable cause is and handed it over to your office. You have full-time investigators. I presented evidence that would lead a reasonable and prudent person to believe that not only did a bribery occur, but under the conspiracy statute, or in Texas, law of parties, the judge is complicit in 37 other crimes. I went to the Texas Rangers only to be told, come back with an officer of the court. Why do I need an officer of the court when I have 20 years as a criminal investigator, both state and federal, and the evidence presented spoke for itself? Why pass the buck just because it's a judge? What is the purpose of this commission if you're going to turn a blind eye to legitimate complaints? What is the purpose of having investigators if you're not going to let them investigate? How can you honestly expect public confidence in your integrity and the integrity, independence, and partiality of our judiciary? Your job is to protect the public, not make excuses why your office cannot investigate legitimate complaints against a judge. Demonstrate your integrity. Rebuild the public confidence in the judiciary and this commission. The 89th legislative session is just around the corner. Please support bills that demand judicial accountability and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chantel Sherman. Next will be looks like Alicia Merkin, and I apologize again if I mispronounce your names. I'll ask all of you to please state your name and whether you're here on your own behalf or on behalf of an entity or organization. You may proceed.
I'm here because nobody here did their job. I did a better job for you. I got my judge voted out because I submitted a complaint, wasn't even looked at. When I called to verify that it was received, I received a call back in 30 minutes saying that it was dismissed for lack of evidence. There was a video attached, an hour long. It's not possible for investigation to be done in 30 minutes with evidence that's an hour long. So I came all the way to the Capitol, went to all the representatives' office, no help, nowhere. So I joined the opponent's campaign. I registered voters. I made sure that she was voted out of office. And that's the only thing that I've seen that's worked so far. I haven't seen anybody's complaint get addressed or fixed or anything. Only thing I've seen is people that vote get people out of office. So the next step is get the right legislators to either get rid of this commission because it doesn't work, or rewrite the laws to make sure they're enforced. I didn't come here to state my complaint. I already did. It's posted all over the internet. I've been threatened several times. I've been thrown in jail for things I didn't do just because of retaliation. But supposedly, the idea that turning in a complaint was gonna do something to a judge put me in danger. The fact that I thought I could be protected by turning in the complaint and it was gonna be addressed was a safety illusion that I had. And it really put me in danger because now the judge is aware and she has unlimited power and nobody to oversight her. So I was targeted and my rights were terminated. I was thrown in jail for things that I didn't do, all kinds of things. And who was there to watch? No one. But it was worth the risk. That way I could record it all, make it public, because this place does nothing. It's a beautiful building. It stands for a lot in your imagination, but it doesn't serve its purpose. It actually creates an illusion of safety that doesn't exist, so it actually endangers more people than it helps. I just came here to say that.
Thank you, ma'am. Alicia, what is it?
Richard.
Thank you. You may, and next will be Jeff Reese. You may proceed.
Recently, my fiance went to jail for 6 months for something that he shouldn't have gone to jail for a child. I'm just saying, like, well, okay, thank you. My fiance, he went to jail for injustice, like something that he shouldn't have gone to jail for. And I'm just saying, like, the family court system, I was hoping that maybe y'all can, like, totally look into that, because
You want to step closer to the mic on the side, maybe?
he had Judge Curvey had communication with him on Facebook, which should not have happened. She should have been recused for it, but she wasn't. Just put yourself in other parents' shoes. Imagine what they're going through. And you know how when you go to court for child custody, sometimes, you know, the other person has more money, so they hire a better lawyer and they get away with things that they shouldn't get away with. When he went to jail, it was really hard for us because I was, you know, living in the home, and I had to support my children, my kid, and you know, I was in a car accident. I had to do things all on my own, and it was just really hard. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Jeff Reese,
Yes, sir.
then Robert Brewer. Mr. Reese, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. My name is Jeff Reese. I am retired Harris County Sheriff Sergeant after 26 years, and I'm here for Kyle French. Same thing, the young lady was up here before. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I went to court and saw what happened. He was actually sentenced to 6 months in jail for contempt. And is it okay to speak on the case? I did file a complaint and it did get a number. I don't want to, prejudice anybody. However, in that case, it was just, it was amazing. It came to the last 15 minutes of the trial, and the judge says she let the other side go, his ex-wife and her attorney. When it came for him to have the last 15 minutes to surmise his case, she says, you know what? I've changed my mind. We're going to end it here. You don't need your 15 minutes, and proceeded to sentence him to 6 months in jail, which he already spent. He's not going to get those 6 months back. But again, there's something wrong with the judicial system, not just you guys. I'm not here pointing my finger. I've never been here. I don't know you guys. So I'm not going to say y'all aren't doing something or you're not, okay? So please, rest easy. I can speak only for myself. And what I saw was amazing. And then when I went back, because I belong to the Greater Houston Coalition for Justice. After my time with the Sheriff's Department, I joined several groups, and I'm still with the coalition. Johnny Mata, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him. Andy, you might have. He's a great icon in the civil rights area. And sometimes things that happen, no one knows about. And it enables it to keep continuing on, going on and on, until someone actually stands up and says something. Then something had changed, I think, was it Mr. Baldwin said that, not everything that is faced can be changed. Before something can be changed, it has to be faced. And there's some unpleasant things that happen, and I think a lot of times people get in their emotion, they get very bitter about what happened to them. I don't know how I would feel if I was sentenced to 6 months in jail with no option for appeal, because it's a civil matter, basically. And it went down to a matter of an order that had been submitted by one or the other. And so I got the yellow light on, so I apologize. I don't want to take any more time. You got a full court here. So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Robert Brewer. Next up will be Taryn Champagne.
Yes, I'm Robert Brewer, speaking for myself. And for background, I'm an atmospheric chemist. I've worked with some of the top scientists on Earth, the father of global warming, the matriarch of climate change, the only person to work on the Manhattan Project, the only female. And with Carl Sagan's boss at Cornell, I've traveled the Earth looking for deep Earth gas. So I've been at the top pretty much of my profession. I'm here to speak on two new things now. I went down to the library and I asked the receptionist if she could tell me where I could find the first sentence of U.S. law. She called two librarians and they did not know. That's why I'm here today. The first sentence of U.S. law. Does anybody know the two laws that we had in 1776? Anybody? The only two laws we're not paying any attention to today. The laws we had were the laws of creation, the laws of nature, which is creation, the laws of nature's God, which is the Bible. Those were the only two laws that our founders had. They're the only two laws that were needed to defeat the baddest military ever on earth. So I am here because the Constitution was written to protect those. And the first sentence of the Constitution is "we the people." That's what we are here. We're standing up to straighten out the system as we see it. Mine relates to the second sentence of our first law, our unalienable right to life, God-given unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Restricting us from recording violates Texas law 551.023, and that's the main reason that I'm here. Every judge in Smith County that I've talked to says you can't record. I used to be able to record. 15 years ago, it was fine. I had a tripod. I recorded every trial that I ever went to. Now you can't. They say it's the judge's prerogative. Well, we were given Lord help me. Our rights to those what I just read off are protected and inalienable. So we have to be able to record.
Thank you, sir. Taryn Champagne. Next up will be Dorothy Patterson.
My name is Taryn Champagne, and I represent myself. Impotent, feckless, ineffectual, and flaccid are how I would describe the worthless State Commission on Judicial Conduct, which continues to consume Texas taxpayer funding while providing no benefit to the general public. This is my third time speaking before the board since 2018. I think a perfect example of this ineffectiveness of the board is the statement that we cannot record this hearing. Once again, Section 551.023 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. A person in attendance may record all or any part of an open meeting of a governmental body by means of a recorder, video camera, or other means of oral or visual representation. You said we couldn't. I feel the record should be corrected on that. This agency, staffed by a meager 12 employees, is either unequipped or unwilling to do anything to accomplish their mission of serving as a check against rogue judges who actively harm the public. The budget, as laid out in the General Appropriations Act, shows a paltry $1,485,935 appropriated for the solemn duty of holding our judiciary accountable. Of those staff on there, there's only 4 investigators. 4 investigators seem hardly adequate to handle the 925 cases that were filed in fiscal year 23, not including those cases pending at the beginning of the year. It's odd that the agency even has investigators, as it appears the investigators do very little in actual investigations. With my own complaints, those others have filed, and certainly others testifying today, I cannot recall ever hearing where an investigator actually contacted a witness. Is this or is this not part of their scope of duties while doing an investigation? Your annual report seems to show a reduction in the number of cases filed, having reached a peak in 22 at 1,764 and declining precipitously to 925. Have our judges gotten more honest due to the SCJC being effective? No. The SCJC has in fact removed the ability to submit complaints electronically. Noted clearly on their website is that they do not accept complaints via online forms, telephone, email, or fax. We live in a digital age, and despite previously accepting complaints online, they've removed this functionality. If this commission seeks reform, then they need to work to restore the public's trust by actually performing their functions and investigating judges in violation of judicial ethics. This actually involves contacting witnesses, providing greater ease of access by which individuals can submit complaints and supporting evidence, and do more than holding this biennial meeting and doing nothing. I've requested notes and memorandums from this commission summarizing these meetings, and I've always gotten the same response. There are no records responsive to this request. While this commission is not doing anything, I don't think they will. Fortunately for the public, there is the Sunset Commission, which will review this board in 28 and 29. While last time the Sunset Commission may have had little access to SCJC documentation, I can assure you that next time individuals like myself will be more than happy to provide the Commission our documentation from our complaints that you all fail to do. I urge you to restore public trust in our judiciary instead of punting it to the next SCJC committee members as a standard practice.
Thank you, sir. Dorothy Patterson. Next up will be Robert Smith.
Good morning. Would you all like to follow along? Well, okay. All right. Well, I am the mother of the young man that he was speaking of. My son was wrongfully convicted, and I can emphatically state this because I sat in the courtroom and I looked at judges who appear to look just like you all look, like it's no big deal. It's painful to know that the very judges that I supported were the very judges to convict my son. I'm at their campaign fundraisers. They don't even realize I am the mother that they wrongfully convicted. I am the mother of the son. And the reason why I can say this is my son never he never even got an opportunity to get consent instructions. He got none of that. When they started the trial, they didn't even read the indictment. They just started the trial. They didn't ask him to stand and tell him what he was accused of. None of that. I'm sitting in the courtroom just in awe. I couldn't believe it. Then they used DNA from a clinic that had been closed since the 90s. And the DNA that excluded my son, which came from the clinic that was open, they totally ignored it. And then the judge, in her opinion, on page 48, she states DNA didn't matter. But that's what she used to convict him. And not only that, we don't even know who sat on the jury. She states in her affirmed conviction, there's no demographic of the jury panel. His appellate attorney even filed a motion to get the jurors' verdict. He never got it. Never got it. And to add insult to injury, my other son was murdered. His murderer is already home. 5-year plea deal. I had to leave my son's trial to go to the murder trial of my other son, to watch this young man get a 5-year plea deal. That's my reality. You all may not understand it because you sit in those seats and you get to protect your children. I didn't get to protect mine, but I'm fighting for this one. That's all I got left. And y'all sit there like this is nothing. I don't understand this kind of judicial system at all. It's an embarrassment to be an American today. When I traveled out of the country, it was never my color or anything that got me respect. It was my American flag. Now when I travel out of the country, people are laughing at us.
Thank you, ma'am. Robert Smith and then Kevin Freimeyer.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Robert Smith. This is the last place I want to be today. I actually started my career 40 years ago in this very room, clerking for the Court of Criminal Appeals, prosecutor here in Travis County for 30 years. There's no allegations that I'm not a good father to my 10-year-old child. I've never been arrested, anything like that. I'm here on a family law matter. My wife and I separated last year, and then behind my back, without my knowledge or consent, she went and obtained prescription drugs for my child to treat for ADHD. When I found out about it and confronted her about it, she stopped doing it, but behind my back and without my knowledge, she enlisted the school to give it to her. These facts are undisputed that I'm telling you here. So basically, chased that around for the better part of 6 months, trying to get her to stop. She wouldn't tell me who the doctor was, where this prescription came from. So eventually I found out who the provider was, and I went and talked to them and put a stop to the practice. And then my wife was making statements again about medical appointments that she wouldn't tell me anything about. So we went to the courts for help. We filed a temporary restraining order to stop this conduct, and the restraining order was granted, and then we went to a temporary orders hearing where these facts that I just laid out to you are undisputed. My wife agrees that she did all that. So the law says that a parent of a child has the right to consent to the child's medical, psychiatric, and psychological treatment. That's in the Family Code 151.001A6. So through this legal process, I finally obtained the medical records and found out that the person that prescribed this to my child was not even a physician. She was a physician in training. And she started my child in a small dose, but within several weeks, it was ramped up to 20 milligrams a day of Vyvanse, which is a time-release amphetamine similar to Adderall. This is for an 80-pound child in the 3rd grade, 20 milligrams a day. It's ridiculous. So after this hearing on temporary orders, the judge ruled that my wife would be granted the exclusive right to consent to psychiatric and psychological treatment of this child, and that I am ordered to comply with this prescription. This ruling is not supported by law, it's not supported by facts, it's arbitrary, it's an abuse of discretion, it constitutes medical coercion, totally unnecessary. What did I do? Why am I forfeiting my right to even know about this, or consent to it, or participate in this treatment plan with the provider? I'm here because I have nowhere else to complain to, okay? I know from reading opinions on final orders that the standard order says when the parents can't consent. All right. So I went to the courts for help, and what I got was this ruling, which is totally unsupportable under law.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Freimeyer. Next will be Kyle French.
My name's Kevin Freimeyer, and we have already seen what y'all have done when Barbara Stalder was a judge. And through the media, through all the news clippings, videos, everything, of her blatantly just violating the public's rights, and then have her finish her whole term, we could already see what y'all are gonna do currently with the judges that are still currently in office, especially judges that like to say it's a confidential courtroom. You know, nothing in the Texas Constitution says that it can be a confidential courtroom. It's we the public, or we the people. And, you know, it's just sad. You know, if the governor can be sued, I'm pretty sure y'all can be sued in federal court too. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle French, and then Charles Stephen Suehan, S-U-E-H-N.
Mr. Khan, so, members. All right, so what I have here is, here's a Facebook post of Miss Diane Turvey talking to me directly on Facebook as I was referencing my case on October 21st, 2023. Ms. Curvey interjects between me and Joseph Lowry and says, Kyle French, I gave you more restrictions, ? 4 times. Okay, Joseph Lowry, this man has a loose relationship with the truth and has no idea what the Texas Family Code allows me to do. Okay, go on to October the 24th, 3 days later. I was arrested while eating lunch at 1200 Congress, 1200 Congress, in the basement of 1200 where the 280th Court resides. I was detained for 3 to 4 hours. The district attorney was brought over. I was released. No charges were filed. On December the 28th, 2023, I filed a motion to modify the protective order to finally end this hell that I'm living in. Mr. Khan, I've come and visited you. I appreciate what you do for the community and members, surviving family members. However, there is no mechanism for what I'm going through. I went through with Barbara Stalder. She put me in jail. Judge Curvey released me. At my release hearing, my attorney wasn't present. I wasn't served due process. They added more language to the protective order. They asked me to agree to it. I said no, realizing this is a contract, an entrapment, with no attorney, not being properly served, not filing an answer. They added this language to my protective order that I've been trying to get out of now for 4 years that says I can't talk to about my ex indirectly. So if I say the words she, her, them, they, it, those people over there, they haul me back to jail. At any time, including standing right here, I'm 10 days away from going back to Harris County Jail based on feelings, the feelings clause that Barbara Stalder coached attorney Rebecca Rowland on September 21st, 2022. She said, "I have a feeling Mrs. Rowland's going to file an enforcement against you. And if I hear the articles under 70(g) of the protective order that state the applicant feels like they were threatened, harassed, embarrassed, intimidated, or alarmed, I went to jail over feelings. They were coached. The judge looked directly at the attorney and said, I guess I can expect these no later than by tomorrow." Moving on, I'm suing in the federal court. On January 22nd of this year, I was arrested. They circumvented jurisdiction and said this is the matters of my child, which wasn't petitioned for, wasn't mentioned whatsoever. They did that very clearly. If you look at the last page, it's to show that Attorney Rebecca Rowland may collect her attorney's fees for any means necessary, including for child support, which wasn't talked about, wasn't litigant. My daughter wasn't a litigant or a relative party. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Charles Suen, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names, then Matthew,
sounds like there's some bad writing on my part. My name is Charles Stephen Cease. I'm here on behalf of myself, my family, and my descendants, as well as the fathers that come after me. Shall I proceed? Yep, okay, you started the timer, so I'm going. Good morning, honorable unpaid volunteers. Thank you for your service overseeing a judiciary ripe with opportunity for improvement. This morning I'm going to call out some issues that you, the judiciary, need to address. I will call out a few districts and courts. I will offer some directions towards solutions and improvement, and I will end by offering hope and encouragement and my thanks. Issues to address. Instead of judges keeping a sterile cockpit, we have judges applying prejudices. 94% of the non-custodial parents in Texas have XY chromosomes. That's on you, the judiciary. Perpetuation of Amendment 13 violations. That's also the judiciary. Worse, judges teaching the systemization of those prejudices in CLE classes. I'd like to offer this video as an exhibit. Judges willfully, purposefully sabotaging the components of a case, even those parts that contribute to the appeal process, thereby perverting the appeals process, the one process that is to hold that judge accountable. Judges hiding the miscarriages of justice by prohibiting recording is the primary haven of judicial perversion and villainy. Problem hotspots. Tarrant County. This is home to a culture of exploitive family law practice, so decadent in its predation on litigants and families, the local family law bar held a talent show and recorded it. This became a great service to the public good. I am hearing the judiciary also needs to clean up its cockpit and practices in Tarrant County and should record all proceedings and make those recordings available to litigants. Cheryl Terry may need some mentorship and some scrutiny. Harris County, not far behind, also needs to record all proceedings and clean up what I'm not sure what to do about judges with poor judgment, but maybe not let them teach CLE classes. Linda Dunson may need some mentoring and some scrutiny. Solutions, things we can do. Record all proceedings. Legislation is coming for this. You, this panel, want this. Work as a judiciary to address gender bias. Bring everybody in, maybe not everybody, address the system-wide gender biases, adjust handbooks and sentencing guidelines. 3, implement additional mechanics for review. 4, guide your judges to adapting to a culture of having their proceedings recorded. 5, find a way to increase this commission's throughput. It's possible you could divert some, though I suspect only 20%. Let's talk about that, what you need from other branches. Last, I encourage you to take heart. There are courts being run well. It can be done. There are examples. Hays County, Judge Steele. You do have good judges who work very hard, even stuck between a pro se software nerd and, well, the other side. Improving the culture, sanctity of the courts, and the delivery of justice is worth doing. These courts are the courts your sons and your grandsons will lose their fortune and their kids to tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Who wants the?
Matthew, I believe it's Pritchard. And then on deck is Noah or No Santana.
Morning, Commission. It's Matthew Pitcher. Louisville, Texas, individual just representing myself. I believe that this commission's level of effort and their staff's level of effort is basically set by the amount of budget approved and not by your indifference or anything like that. You do a very high volume of requests, a very high percentage of them are invalid, and those must be weeded through, and that depends on the amount of budget you have to work with, so just a little difference of opinion from most of them. I have no family law, no criminal conviction or anything like that. I'm going to use my time to talk about the actions of one judge in Hidalgo County, Texas. I'm not sure if that county name means anything to you, but I would assume it does. I knew nothing about the justice system until I was blindsided by something out of Hidalgo County, which I've never been any it's on the border. I've never been any closer to it than I stand right now. I was hit with a temporary ex parte protective order from a judge down there. He refused to conduct a hearing, drug it out for 2 full years. The main harm done was that they gave the stand to a stalker who had invaded my family's privacy in mourning following the death of a child. No lawyer would take the case. I went through dozens, the referral service and everything. No one would take it. And it came with constant threat of arrest. And of course, with the statute requires any trial on any violation to be conducted in Hidalgo County. Take me down there. The judge's name is Israel P. Ramon Jr. of Hidalgo 430th District's Court. He is retiring at the end of this year. He needs a black mark next to his name. I'm going to do what I can to see that it gets there. And I don't believe I have anything further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Noah Santana, and then Kevin Bond will be after Mr. Santana.
Good morning, esteemed members of the commission, Chairman. I don't have a prepared statement or what I came here to say. I do have 2 pending actions with the commission that are current with y'all. And I got to tell y'all, the lady that has answered my calls after I left the messages has been incredibly professional, answered all my questions the way they're supposed to be answered, and I have nothing but good things to say in my experience with the commission. Listening that there's about 1,000 new cases every year with 4 investigators. It's a brand new case every day they show up to work. I urge everyone that's here now in this room, meeting room, when this meeting is over, walk next door to our representatives, to our senators, and tell them, you know what, commission needs more funding. This affects everyone. Every time the gavel hits the judge's bench, somebody feels that justice was not served. And even the person that is on the winning side of that ordeal may not feel that they got enough. And unfortunately, the commission is the only avenue that we have to address that situation. And I can tell you, you know what, many times it's out of emotion. It's not out of actual things that go wrong. But when, to me, let's say if there's a cat in a tree and there's somebody's house that's on fire with their kids inside, if somebody calls 911, you know who's going to get the help first. If somebody suffering a heart attack walks into the ER and somebody that says, well, I'm not feeling good today, you know who's going to get priority. I'd like to see maybe the commission consider do this also, that you know what, somebody, as they screen the complaints that come in, take it under consideration. Is this someone whose feelings are hurt, and no disrespect to anyone in this room? Or is it a situation where someone's house is on fire and it demands the immediate attention of the commission? Now, I realize you all will not see any of the complaints until they have gone through the process. And maybe something has fallen on the wayside, and I don't know that there is an avenue for like an appeal, or maybe for someone else to independently look like an oversight type deal. I'd like to see that. Thank you all for what you do. You don't get paid enough to do what you do, and I understand y'all are volunteers. I respect and I thank you all for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Bond. Next up will be Dana or Dana Dickens.
Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. My name is Kevin Bond with Manor Ranches, Texas, for Judicial Accountability. The OCA has created a program, the Guardianship Abuse, Fraud, and Exploitation Deterrence Program, the GAF-EDP. It has played a vital role investigating guardianship issues in Texas. The GAF-EDP has collected evidence of abuse, fraud, and exploitation in state guardianships. It reports these findings to the judges overseeing them. When we submitted a complaint to the SCJC regarding two judges failing to follow mandatory reporting law, the SCJC considered this judicial discretion. It is highly suspected that these two judges in charge of guardianship never reported the financial exploitation within the guardianships to DFPS. This sets a very dangerous precedent for the vast number of cases which the Commission doesn't hold judges accountable who are in breach of mandatory reporting laws, failing to report the CPS or APAs the exploitation and abuse occurring within their jurisdiction. When the SCJC is made aware of the documented exploitation of a handicapped ward, why doesn't the SCJC prioritize these vulnerable individuals who hold judges accountable? Why is the SCJC enabling judges to disregard abuse of handicapped wards in the name of judicial discretion? Everyone, please do not miss the fact that the investigation and audits have already been done and are sitting in the GAF-EDP records. The SCJC refuses to request these filed audits of mismanaged and exploited abusive guardianships. The following are two examples of GAF-EDP findings. One, the GAF-EDP audited the $18 million estate and $18 million estate. Despite poor record keeping, they found unapproved loans totaling $1.3 million, over $200,000 or $20,000 in unauthorized charitable donations. The state statute requires a guardian's bond basically to equal the value of the estate. The court-approved bond was $120,000. For an $18 million estate, there was no judge intervention. The guardianship was the subject of our first complaint to the SCJC, which denied due to judicial discretion. Another guardianship case. A ward had co-guardians who never had visited in 31 years. No ad litem was ever appointed. Where were the judges over these 3 decades? Once the rights of wards are violated, especially with the broken statutes, no ad litem or other valid representation, the SCJC is the only safety net left for the ward. When we made a complaint in 23, quoting the exact information, the GAF-EDP 2022 report guardianship, the SCJC turned down the complaint due to a lack of a judge's name. The SCJC could, with one phone call, get this information. We need these addressed.
Dana Dickens. On deck is Jay Dickens.
Hi, I'm with Manor Ranches in Texas for Judicial Accountability. Judicial discretion is the SCJC's favorite term when they send an unsigned form letter turning complaints down. The SCJC refuses to recognize the important difference between a probate judge's responsibility and a normal judge's responsibility. When a judge takes on the mantle of a probate judge, the rules narrow greatly. Probate judges have much stricter parameters than other judgeships. The main job of a probate judge is to protect the ward and make sure the guardian is doing what is best for the ward. A probate judge has very little discretion here, contrary to the opinions of the SCJC in the Browning guardianship judicial problems. As a quick summary of the Browning guardianship issues the SCJC should have had concerns about, the ward was completely physically and mentally handicapped. He had no valid voice in the court system. The ward had about a 2-year-old mentality due to his injuries. The ward had multi-millions in his guardianship bank accounts, and the situation was ripe for financial mismanagement. Exploitation and statutes were being broken by both the guardian and the judges overseeing the guardianships, and they were documented by the state of Texas. In 2021, this guardianship was used as an example of some of the worst guardianship abuse in the state. The ward did not have an ad litem because his county judge refused to appoint one. Having an ad litem is a basic right according to the state statute called the Bill of Rights for Wards. However, the SCJC refuses to see how preventing this ward from having an ad litem, despite state documented exploitation present, was a problem. This is a basic humanity issue that the SCJC will not open its eyes to see. If the SCJC can't see this as a problem that places one of the most vulnerable members of society at risk, what else are they missing? The SCJC needs a paradigm shift in how they view priorities and conduct investigations. One of the county judges cooperated with the guardian in an attempt to prevent a witness from testifying to the court about exploitation of the ward. Unbelievably, the SCJC has refused to act on such an obvious instance of documented judicial misconduct, directly contributing to the risk of this ward. Such an effort between the judge and the guardian had to involve ex parte communication in a manner that served to put the ward at risk. The ward here literally had no voice in the judicial system, but the SCJC has listed numerous suggestions how he could overcome this problem, including going to an appellate court or legislative actions. How could a 2-year-old capacitated, a man with a 2-year-old capacity, ever accomplish this for himself? The SCJC simply does not understand how important it is for a ward to have an ad litem to speak for them. A paradigm shift needs to occur here.
Thank you, ma'am.
You bet.
Jay Dickens. On deck is Kenan Dickens.
That young lady that just spoke is my wife. We were married 41 years as of last night, and we choose to come spend our anniversary with you guys, just so you know. That's how important we feel about this. I'm an ex-federal drug agent, spent a lot of time in South America when we actually would go chase guys at the source, and I'm talking doing stuff, you gotta have a special letter back home that says you can do this kind of stuff. This isn't about Dana and I, this is about what we've seen that's happening to handicapped wards in the state of Texas. It's a very cut and dried situation. It's the most extreme situation you're gonna hear about today. I'm begging you to let me come talk to you about this more, because the SCJC is just missing it. I mean, I know Ms. Habersham has a big job. They got a big job out there. Before I forget, one idea, is it possible to possibly give her a hand with volunteer investigators? There's a lot of ex-cops out there like me that rather than see what's happening now, which I hate to use the word train wreck, but I got to use it. From what I've seen, it's a mess. Is there a way to get volunteers involved, professional ex-cops, to investigate some of this stuff? The ball is being dropped. I can tell you from what we filed, I had written evidence of ex parte communication, 2 different instances. Nobody even asked a daggum question about that. I can tell you as an ex-investigator, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the way these investigations are being handled. There is stuff being missed. There's critical stuff being missed. Back to the wards, what Dana was talking about, we're talking about a handicapped ward with no ad litem. We're talking a man with a 2-year-old mentality, and the judge will not appoint an ad litem. It's ridiculous. After 2 years of finally getting judges recused, it went to another judge, and guess what he did? He said, boy, this boy needs an ad litem. If it hadn't been for us getting these judges recused, this guy wouldn't have had an ad litem. And that should have been a basic step. In Ms. Habersham, they won't even ask any questions about that. They think it's fine that an ad litem wouldn't get appointed. It's crazy. This is the most extreme example imaginable. And again, somebody with a 2-year-old mentality, they have no plan B other than SCJC. If that probate judge drops the ball, SCJC, that's all there is. The guy has no way to appeal his case. He has nothing. And like Dana said, SCJC said, well, you know, there's the appeals process, there's the legislative process. How is a 2-year-old mentality handicapped ward going to go do all those things? He can't. If the judge drops the ball, the SCJC has to correct that judge. Right now, this stuff is rampant. It's rampant. I sent the information about JFEDP, who Kevin mentioned, to SCJC. I'm going to bet they haven't dug into any of those cases. There's many, many more bad cases. And the investigation work has already been done. That's the key. The work's already been done. SCJC just has to walk over there, open up some files, or get me to go open them up. I'll volunteer. I'm serious. I'd really appreciate a chance to come talk to you guys. I'll leave my contact info. I'll submit it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Kenan Dickens, and on deck is Gina Marie Ruiz.
Hello, my name is Kenan Dickens. I'm here with Texans for Judicial Accountability. I'm speaking on the behalf of Jennifer Lundy, who is currently in a committee hearing for the State Representatives Judicial and Civil Jurisprudence. It is at session in moment, and these are in her words. Jennifer Lundy, Precinct Chair 3144, former District Director for Senate District 30, former Certified Shorthand Reporter, member of the Texas Federation of Republican Women, and current Executive Director for Texans for Judicial Accountability. Texans for Judicial Accountability was created after witnessing the unfortunate corruption of a district court judge in 415, Judge Graham Quisenberry, who threatened my career for simple court watching at the direction of my then boss, a person running for state rep. I've learned so much more about his corruption since that time and have had numerous people contact me about the way he mishandles his courtroom. I have always been told that he handles his courtroom in a tough manner, which would be okay if he were tough by following and forcing others to follow the law. But it is not that. He's making up his own laws, as many are also doing. The judicial corruption that I've experienced has inspired my new path in life. It thankfully led me to open my eyes and see what was happening in our judiciary and at our State Commission on Judicial Conduct. I took my concerns to a county court at a law judge, a district judge, and an appellate court judge, and from there created a list of things that we as a state need to change. It led me to see how severely understaffed the State Commission on Judicial is. It has led me to see that there have been approximately 27,000 complaints that no one else will see. It led me to be able to see the bribery that is happening within our courts and within our judges. It has also shown me how many good, honest judges we have, judges that are being overshadowed by this corruption. How can we expect them to not turn when we are not even addressing it? Judge Quisenberry encouraged me to fight for more transparency in our courtrooms with audio and video, and with requiring the certified shorthand reporters record all transactions between judge and attorneys. He led me to see that the commission is not set up to favor the very reason the commission was established, to search for corruption in our courts. I know this because my own complaint was denied. I have been out raising awareness to what is happening, and I have been in over 25 counties so far and have successfully made it to the top 15 priority. And I'm now reaching other states on where to go to put a stop to this corruption. And I pray that my voice and the millions of other voices will make a difference this coming legislative session. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Gina Marie Ruiz, Roy Davis is on deck.
My name is Gina Marie Ruiz. I'm here representing myself. I'm an Army veteran, retired 100%, no criminal background. I'm here to address serious concerns regarding Judge Lyda Ness Garcia of 383rd Judicial Court of El Paso County. Her name is really Lyda Ness, minus the Garcia. She added that. This is about my grandson, Max, whom I've had custody of for 9 years. He's only 11 years old at this point. Final order was signed here in the Travis County, 2018, putting him in my care. At that time, he was 5 years old. I've had him ever since he was 1 year old, In the final court hearing, Travis County, I was appointed conservator with the right to make all important decisions where Max lives, his upbringing, his education, and medical care treatment. The father, at that time, who was my daughter's boyfriend, was also joint managing conservator with monitored visitations, while the mother, my daughter, was possessory conservator. These roles were put in place because both parents were not fit parents. Both parents were absent from Max's life for many years at a time. When they had him, Max suffered from abuse and neglect, either to him or exposed him to these abuses and family violence. Then I made the mistake of moving to El Paso County and ended up before Lyda Ness and lost my Max. Judge Ness made decisions that were not in the best interest of Max or his safety, and she did not care. The father filed for custody. There have been zero contact from either parent for more than 10 years prior to that. April 24, 23, I filed motion to modify temporary orders based on a professional recommendations to cease visitations to Max PTSD. Despite the judge's removed Max licensed therapist, she restricted discussions of Max's statements from the chambers of conference. He indicated to her about these abuses, and she disregarded all of his claims. Those are also violations of Family Code 153.002. During this past December, Max indicated to me, I'm just going to go off of this, I'm done. I'm very nervous, as you guys can all tell. She forced him, she physically removed him on a number of occasions. Bailiff physically removed him, dragging him down the hallway. He indicated his fears. The judge still forced him to do visitations. He told me he was going to do self-harm. I got him medical attention, and I'm sorry. I got him medical attention, and I suffered. She removed him from me for getting his medical attention. Thank you.
Roy Davis and Savannah Olden, and again, I apologize if I got that wrong.
Good morning. My name's Roy Davis. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I represent the people here. False alarms, false reports, obstruction, official oppression, abuse of official capacity, retaliation, bribery, extortion, document tampering, witness, jury tampering, unauthorized release of confidential information, and perjury. There's a statewide gang that's growing in numbers, operating with impunity and victimizing people from all walks of life. I'm not describing the mob or other notorious groups but instead a group that is forming within a once respectable, highly visible profession. This group of felons display their gang affiliation by wearing black robes. 22% of El Paso judges, the county judges, are corrupt, and 45% are corrupt. I'm referring to judges, not all of them, just some of them. I retired from the El Paso Police Department. I'm a retired police commander, a police executive with 21 years of service. I did 8 years as a bailiff. So, I come from the inside. After 8 years on the inside, I've observed violations of due process, civil rights, penal code statutes violated by sitting judges. The problem stems from the lack of proper oversight. Real oversight with teeth. Oversight that conduct true and thorough investigations. And when warranted, actually correct or remove judges from the bench. We are in a crisis where the executive branch has already lost control of law enforcement. As reform is pursued in law enforcement, the remaining branches must work in tandem to achieve any success. But, unfortunately, our highest branch, the judicial branch, is starting to lose control of our judges. Before it's too late, a serious review and overhaul of the systems in place must take place. Meanwhile, in an effort to bring about majority demand for change, it will be my mission to raise awareness by educating the public of the current trends throughout several platforms, social media, publications, and in-person presentations. I welcome all input, pro or con, because we need all of it to bring about a change for an effective solution. I I can be reached. I'll put my number out there for everybody, 915-540-5370. And I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, in the back corner, I know everybody, not everybody, people are recording in violation of our proceedings, but at least turn off your lights so you're not distracting us. Savannah Fazolden?
Savannah Falzolari.
Thank you, and I apologize.
That's okay. Okay. All right.
When you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. I think I'm as ready as I'll be. My name's Savannah Falzolari. Currently, I have a family law case out of Fort Bend County in the 505th District Court. I've had numerous court dates, but the reason that I'm here today, the whole situation of why I have to be here today, is because of due process. There's 2 court hearings that removed my children from my custody, in which I wasn't served. The judge accepted a written statement saying that I was served when I wasn't. There was no certificate of service, nothing that was on file, but she accepted that the day of the court. I went to court after that to try to modify custody with an attorney. COVID backed us up, but the judge was aware of a lot of the misleading of the courts and the due process not being served for court. You know, the judges are supposed to comply with the law, and it's really embarrassing that when you call an attorney for help, that they tell you that that's the family law system, that they bend the rules a little bit. It's a little bit different in family court. It's liar's court. It's kind of embarrassing. We're putting our children in the hands of judges, and this is our next generation, and they're going to grow up with trauma because they're alienated from a parent, or I'm sure there's plenty of other things that happen in the court case. Maybe they were left in the custody of a bad parent, but I don't think it's okay for any child to grow up with any kind of trauma, and I think that the judicial system is allowing that trauma to happen. And according to the law, section 153002, it's supposed to be in the best interest of a child. And I don't think that a best interest of a child should be described as alienation or abuse or whatever they do to keep children away from a biological parent. My kids are in the custody of their grandmother due to, like I said, misleading of the courts. It's been proved multiple times, but another thing is Canons 3, Section 8. Every person has the right to be heard. That didn't happen in my case because the kids would not be where they are right now. So I just wanted to bring it to the court's attention. I have filed complaints with the courts, with your commission, but they haven't been heard. When this first happened in 2019, which that judge is no longer on the bench. But I think that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. I think it's Larry Collier, and on deck will be Arnold Yan.
It's Larry Callis.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. My name is Larry Callis, and I'll tell you why I talk like I do. I used to be a country and western singer. George Strait's manager was my manager. Clint Black's band was my band. I lost my voice in 1990. Before I lost my voice, I played for President George Bush, played for Miss Ann Richards. When I lost my voice, I lost my band, lost my manager. But I'm a Christian first, and I'm a cowboy second. I know when God closes one big door, he opens up a big one. In 2014, I was served with divorce papers. My wife divorced me because I turned black on her. I used to be a country and western singer. I was always out there with the white people, and she looked at me as I was white. But she divorced me because I turned black on her. And I told the judge that was presiding over me in Fort Bend County, he told her to falsify all the documents against me. I mean, everything I have here is falsified. I had a person look at it. He said, that's not your signature. They sold my house. And my land was worth $300,000, and I didn't get a penny. They sold my house for $300,000. I got $4,500. And because Judge Perrin helped her sell my house and through the court, and I have falsified documents right here to show that she falsified the documents. And I was just wondering if y'all could help me with this. My name is Larry Callis, and I thank you for having me here or letting me do this. And just get in touch with me and see if you can help me with this. Thanks.
Thank you. Arnold, is it Yan? Yes. On deck will be Amber Perez.
Did you hear that? A child is crying. A woman is cursing, saying motherfucker. And do you want to choose? Does court want to choose? I'm in family court. 3 years passed. It cost me $200,000. I have hours videos. None of them has been accepted by the court. Instead, this woman was get awarded my home. I get kicked out. I asked for protection order for the abuse to the child. The judge looked at me. She said, you want a protection? I remove from your house to protect you. So I get kicked out. I asked for a de novo hearing. I had a de novo hearing. It didn't finish. They continues to 6 months later. 6 months later, my de novo hearing disappeared. That associate judge who has no case at her court, because my case was in district judge after de novo hearing, right? She secretly signed an order without the process served me. Secret, go to the docket with 2 counsel on both sides colluded, forged my signature. They created a manufactured civil court, say my ex filed a protection order against me, so I got expelled from the house. 3 years passed, I'm out. My kids is in the house, and I am getting restrained. They garnished 80% of my income. So in this country, can I be restrained without a pleading? In the docket, there's no petition against me for the protection order, but I was granted a secret entered protection order for 3 years. I filed a motion try to void this one because all the temporary order in family court cannot appeal. So I filed a motion. The judge don't want to hear. I filed a habeas corpus because I got restrained. I supposed to live in my home, right? I'm a civil person. I got restrained. It's 100% no due process, no notice, no hearing, and no pleading. Do you know what my judge did to me? She didn't even give me a course number. So the court slammed the door in front of me. And what happened even got worse. I had a trial. 1 month before the trial, right? I already have lawyer, colluded and forged my signature. 1 month before the trial, my new lawyer sent me a letter say, the court said a jury trial for 3 days. So we need $90,000 retainer fee. Can I have extra time? This is a fraud case. $90,000 retainer fee. You don't pay us, we withdraw. I said, I don't have $90,000 because I already got restrained. My lawyer quit 3 weeks before my trial. I set a motion to my judge, say, this is fraud. My judge said, don't want to hear the motion. So,
Sir, your time is up.
okay, the court is a white-collar crime paradise right now. It's not even justice problem, it's fraud. I have case in Tarrant County, 325th, judge is Cynthia Terry.
Thank you, sir. Amber Perez and Melanie Mendieta is on deck.
Hi, I'm Amber Perez and I represent myself and my daughter. I didn't know if I was actually going to speak because I didn't know what to expect. I just heard that, you know, this is where you come to complain about corrupt judges. I've experienced 4 of them total, and I can tell just watching y'all deal with everyone else this morning, the stone cold faces, you don't care. So I'm just gonna use my small increment of time to tell you to pay attention to the news and what's happening to judges being shot dead in their chambers. If committees like you don't do something about the problem, the public's going to continue to take matters into their own hands. That's it.
Melanie Mendieta, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names.
Hi,
Guston Chavez is on deck. I apologize.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. Hi, good morning. My name is Melanie Mendieta, and I had no idea where I was coming, what I was doing until I arrived here. So I do have a friend here that I was joining, and she was like, sign up and talk, sign up and talk. And I'm like, no, I don't know how to, never done this before. But I do want to sit here and say, or stand here and tell the court, is that I'm originally from Austin. Sometime in maybe 1980, my parents moved on down to Williamson County. And this is where I began to witness so much injustice, I feel like. So I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be here today. I feel like that in Williamson County, some judges, again, like not all judges, but just some, I don't know, I'm not here to judge anybody. I know that we lack staff everywhere in the world, just not enough people doing or can fit the job. We have a lot of people that we sometimes can't feed home and things like that. But my biggest concern, the reason why I'm here, is my son being given 45 years to the TDCJ. For what? I understand that my son, he's not perfect. As a child, he would mess up. He would do things. I would discipline him. I would take things from him. But I would never punish my child. So far, as to 45 years, my son is only 24 years old. In there, he just sits and he's rotting away. There's nothing there educational for him. There's nothing there to rehabilitate him, as they say. We'll put you here, we'll rehabilitate you. There's nothing. My son's been in there 5 years. And I'm not here to bash anybody, and I believe someone said that together we stand, divided we fall. I feel like my country has failed me. Not saying anything bad about anybody. We're not perfect. We're all equal in my eyes. But I do just want to say that the injustice in Williamson County, I believe, and I didn't know, I'm glad I'm here today, but I am here and I want to be heard. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Gustav Chavez. On deck is Sharon Brown.
Good morning. My name is Gustavo Chavez, and I am a 21-year-old senior at the Macomb School of Business at the University of Texas at Austin here. As the oldest of 3 children, I stand here today representing my father and my siblings as one of the rightful heirs to my late grandmother, Georgina Ayub's estate. My grandmother, Georgina, was a Mexican-American dual citizen whose rights, like mine, were infringed upon by the audacity of probate corruption in El Paso, Texas, under Judge Gamboa in Probate Court Number 2. My father, Alfonso E. Chavez Ayub, is the eldest son and rightful heir to my grandmother's legacy, and as you might be aware, he is a plaintiff in a formal judicial complaint filed with your office in March of 2023. I speak to you today on behalf of my father, Alfonso, who at 52 years old, out of a sense of moral duty, is enrolled in law school at Creighton University to fight injustice. He made this personal sacrifice not as a means of advancing his career, but to fight for the fundamental principles of ethics and integrity that each of you swore an oath to uphold. The complaint, filed under case number 230473, is a case of first impression involving severe judicial misconduct and a case of first impression of the United States versus Mexico. The facts in this case, as undisputed both countries, Judge Eduardo M. Gamboa, entrusted with the role of upholding the law, instead obstructed justice by dismissing a legitimate letter rogatory issued by a court in Mexico and tampering with the official Mexican court records. His court's actions enabled a coordinated fraud perpetrated by officers of the Texas court and parties involved in an enterprise to illegally probate a multi-million-dollar estate, a conspiracy of corruption that is currently under litigation. The systematic failure here is staggering, amounting to a much larger cross-border fraud issue that my father, acting as a whistleblower, has disclosed to federal authorities, including the FBI, fulfilling his ethical obligations under both state and federal law as required by U.S. and Mexican law, rules of professional conduct of all legal professionals, including law students as well. What is even more alarming here is that the Commission's failure to act, despite the overwhelming evidence of judicial record tampering, is an offense that strikes at the very heart of judicial integrity. The investigation led by Elizabeth Trevino failed to hold Judge Gamboa accountable. It is a breach of duty not only to my family, but to the Texas public. Article 5, Section 1A6A of the Texas Constitution mandates, as other people have mentioned, that judicial officers be held accountable for conduct that undermines the public confidence in the judiciary. How could Ms. Trevino, in her capacity as an officer of this commission, not see what the 8th Court of Appeals saw just 6 months later? The 8th Court of Appeals issued 2 orders to correct the very record that Judge Gamboa's court had knowingly and recklessly falsified. The Texas Supreme Court has long held that judicial misconduct is intolerable when it violates the foundational principles of due process and equal protection. The Texas Supreme Court has held that the officers of the judiciary have an unshakable duty to uphold the rule of law, and any breach of this duty must be met with decisive action. The preponderance of the evidence speaks for itself: tampered records, blatant disregard for the rule of law, and failure to report financial crimes that should have been referred to the proper authorities. This is not just a matter of failing to uphold judicial standards, this is an affront to justice itself. My father's complaint was not a mere grievance, it was a plea to preserve the integrity of our legal system, and yet it was ignored by those tasked with overseeing judicial ethics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sharon Brown and Fabriel Cisneros is on deck.
Hello. I actually came today to be more support. I'm just getting my toes wet into the advocacy world and being forced into it with what's going on to my daughter and myself in Bell County, Texas. So I would like to ask for time to send y'all some written supporting documents as well to go along with my testimony today. But I'm here to back up what everybody's saying about the Texas courts having major issues with the corruption that's rampant through the system. The Texas state statutes and the Texas Judicial Code of Conduct has been used as toilet paper in these courts that I'm currently in. That's the 146th and the 169th courts in Bell County. I'm not the only family this has happened to, but I refuse to back down for my daughter. They have done everything they can to get me to back down, even up to the point of the current guardian ad litem, which is a non-certified ad litem, was laughing in the halls with the defendant about their plan to financially break me and how I couldn't keep affording to fight for my daughter. It wasn't until those statements were filed by a witness who was a chief warrant officer level 3 in the military that she then granted permission for me to have non-supervised visits. This all began in June of 2021, in 2021, when my daughter had experienced abuse from the dad and stepmom. And then that's the first time I ever went back to modified custody for her request and her safety. In June of 2022, my daughter was again attacked. Food was used as a punishment. She called for a cry of help. I again then readdressed the ongoing temporary orders that were being heard. And that's when the non-certified guardian ad litem had ex parte communication with the judge. She told me not to call the police that night, though I did anyways. And then the next morning, my child was removed from my home and her father's home in an orchestrated event to then eventually place her care in the father's home. The non-certified guardian ad litem did just that. Unfortunately, with her being not certified, there's no one I can hold her accountable to that I can find. There's no certifying board. She's not a judge, so she's not an attorney. How can I hold her accountable? That is a huge issue I'm currently in, as well as all the judge and her have a long history. So whatever she wants is done. My child has not been home spent a night in her home since June of 2022. I have been fighting for her since then, and I will not stop, but the corruption needs an end. It's not the fact of what's happening to me, but it's the fact of what's happening to my daughter and all the kids of the future. This is for their health, their mental stability. I'm an emergency room nurse, and I see so many children coming in from distraught homes and the effects it does to them. And the child who I, of course, have wanted to protect the most from all of that is my own child, and my hands have been tied by the courts. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. Fabriel Cisneros, Cody Taylor will be next.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Again, my name is Fabriel Cisneros. I'm from Brownsville. I have over 20 years plus experience working with the severely at-risk populations. Okay, just to give you a background, I am a part currently of city commissions, boards, and coalitions at the not only city, state, and national level. So I love what I do in my profession. So I know you all, ladies and gentlemen, love what you do and are part of this commission. My divine purpose is to turn people's lives around, those that are part of that severely at-risk population. I enjoy doing what God gave me the ability to do. And I have a gut feeling that that's what you guys are here for as well. I'm an advocate against child custody interference and parental alienation. I'm a victim. And so has many people here are, as well as they've spoken before me. Let me get my notes. I apologize for that. The screen went dark. And I'm going to talk about how the violations of the lawyer's creed and judicial conduct has had a destructive effect on people's lives. I've had to fire 3 attorneys. I went through 2 judges, 1 biased parental educator, 1 biased community counselor that was religious faith-based of all of that. I'm a very religious person. I don't know if you all noticed as I did the sign of the cross as I came over here. I went through, I had to almost professionally threaten an ad litem attorney who was against me for no reason at all, on very unethical behavior from her. I've seen my daughter go through several physical, mental breakdowns. I've had coworkers where their 60-year-old sons have committed suicide. I have a great friend of mine whose 21-year-old grandson blew his brains out because of child custody interference, because of the lack of oversight in the Texas family courts. When you all leave today, I want you to go leave this building with a divine purpose. What are y'all going to do? Every child deserves to live their dreams, no matter what age they're in. Every child deserves to be nurtured, cared for, loved by that stable, mental, spiritually stable parent. I lost that opportunity. My daughter was invited to the national girls soccer team as a 13-year-old, and her mom said, "The heck with your dream. You're not going to live anymore with your father." Again, when you leave this building, what are y'all going to do? Please help us.
Thank you, sir. Cody Taylor and Farouk Tarig will be on deck. And again, I apologize on names.
Morning. How are y'all? We've started. I'm gonna take a different approach. I obviously don't know any of you. You don't know me. You couldn't pick me out on the sidewalk if somebody said, hey, there's $10 billion that will be deposited in your account if you can find Cody Taylor in the mass population of Texas. But I'll put it to you this way. You either own your own business or you work for somebody. We're on either side of the playing field, right? My deal is that if you're the owner, somebody comes to you with an initial problem, or a government agency comes to you and says, you're gonna be closed down in weeks if you don't correct this, how fast do you fix it? Instantly? Is it a process? I guarantee you they ask for the process. And if you're the person that works for that individual and your job's at stake and the way that you're going to support your family and your lifestyle, you would want answers, just like anybody else. And I know this is very trying for anybody to hear all the bad. There is some good. I hold a letter from y'all. Private reprimand. You may not think that that's anything special, but to me it is. It's a reprimand. Here's the problem. The judge that was privately reprimanded was funded by my tax-paying dollars. There should not be an individual that's a public elected official with taxpayer funds that should be privately reprimanded for this is minimal compared to what was filed, but violating what they took an oath and they signed to do. Can't stress it enough. So what can we fix? Here's the opportunity. I don't say failure, but here's the opportunity. Transparency is the first thing. You go on your website right now, you are lacking in anybody that's been reprimanded. We can't find it. I can't find this reprimand under private or public. Investigations mandatory that actually move past the first section of process, which is what y'all dismiss, needs to be a phone call to the complainant. You got to take the time to understand where they're coming from. Notice how many people are here for family court issues. Do you know how complex that gets? If you haven't been a part of it, I implore you to go sit in a family courtroom. Efficiency and delays. What can you fix? That should be a small process to what's today. There's been several things that's been stated. The other is accountability. And then the last thing that I'm going to put in there is that the judge in my case was finally recused. Not because he violated 105 or 104 or 107 or 681 or all the codes that none of y'all probably understand or know, but because he violated the portion that he was sworn to uphold once he retired, which was he was in a complaint process and didn't divulge that. I had to get him removed. Y'all didn't. Opportunity. What's the opportunity? If this was your business, and I point to you, but I'm pointing to all. If this was your business, 10 seconds. If this was your business and this is the only way that you could provide, would you take the time today or would you push it to the next person that gets put in front of you? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tavig, you are next, sir. Thank you. And Christina Starkey is next.
My testimony today involves a special needs child. I am disabled myself. For that reason, I ask for an extra 2 minutes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening to me today. My name is Tariq Farouk. I come here from Plano, Texas. My case number is 4651752-51752-2020. I've authored and co-authored 8 IT books, more than 100+ white papers, spoken in 23 countries, awarded the Oracle ACE Director Awards, work on billion-dollar projects. I was in a relationship, marriage for 20 years, 4 kids. My oldest daughter is becoming a doctor now. My youngest kid is a special needs child born with a very, very rare chromosomal disorder. It's called tetrasome 18p. Gait, vision impairment, mental health issues, violent outbursts, what have you. Me and my kid, we have a very, very, very special bond, the strongest on the planet for both of us. Perfect father, 100 over 100. My criminal history is a blank page. The Honorable Judge Lindsey Wynn, 468 Collin County. 5 years of litigation. dozens of false allegations of abuse, all kinds of financial abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, what have you. Now I've practically become an attorney. I read the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, Texas Rules of Appellate Procedure, wrote an 1,800-page appeal, what have you. Filed 2 motions of recusal against her. Her actions go way above and beyond the standard of appearance of bias. 100 of my motions have been denied in her court. She has literally screamed at me, yelled at me, talked to me as if I was an animal, not a loving, caring father. And now, as a result of all of that, I went outside, drove up to the Collin County Courthouse. For 42 days, in the heat, in the bug, in the spiders, I protested against her. Big signs, 10 by 4. I have irrefutable, undeniable evidence beyond a reasonable doubt of her corruption, of judicial misconduct, of official oppression oppression in an official capacity. This is my son. He's 14 years old. He wears a diaper. Every 2-3 weeks, he's going to poop all over the carpets. He's going to throw up and a whole bunch of stuff. I take care of my son. I take him to Six Flags, Adventure Landing, Urban Air, every place, the same rides week after week after week after week. Like I said, 100 over 100 father. And I was a loving, caring, faithful, loyal husband. Judge Wynn has now put me on supervised visitation, in complete violation of the lawyer's creed, the canons of judicial justice. I think you all have a pretty fair idea of what's going on in family law in Texas court. You guys have a pretty good idea of what's going on. The fact that this very meeting is being held after 2 years is a travesty in and of its own. This meeting could have been held on Zoom, where literally thousands of people could have participated and given the state an accurate feedback. I have a dream that there's tens of thousands of people out there fighting for justice, fighting for their God-given, unalienable rights. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Starry. Next will be Shavaz Watson, I believe.
Hi. So I'm Christine Starry, and I have been invited here by all of you through the family court system. Whether you knew it or not, I'd show up one day because I had a seemingly normal life, and then it just shattered into 100,000 pieces when my kids disappeared because of a court system that's broken. I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what the the Texan says, because my time is wasted. But don't think that I won't make an impact. I'm here, and I will make an impact. I'm a Texas Supreme Court case right now, and it's unacceptable for what happened to me and what will happen to any other person. All right, so the Texas Supreme Court is considering the review of a case of implications for parental rights in Texas. Christine Lenore Starry, that's me, who had to hide for the first 2 years and embarrassed from what happened to her, that her kids were taken away as a kindergarten teacher, ripped away to never be. I taught, was filed for petition for review for the court because she says her parental rights were effectively terminated without due process and in violation of constitutional rights. The Family Freedom Project, and an affiliate of the Texas Homeschool Coalition, filed an amicus curiae brief encouraging the court to consider her case. The rights of all Texas parents at risk, all the Texas parents at risk because of this decision. In a recent case where a court issued a lifetime ban, lifetime, I would never see my children again, in a civil court on a mother's relationship with her children without following due process. The Family Court Freedom Project said in a press release, according to Starry's brief filed with the court, she and her ex-husband divorced in 2018 with a 50-50 possession schedule of the 3 minor children. In 2020, the mother was charged with injury to a child. Guess how easy that starts when you have a divorce? How the court plays out at the expense of lawyers. The father filed for a protective order, and after a hearing in October of that year, he was granted a lifetime protective order. For all 3 children, for the duration of their lives. The mother had not been convicted of a crime at that time of the court order, nor has now. Starry asked for facts and findings from the court, the 280th in Houston, Texas, or Harris County, from the Harris County Trial Court, but never received them. She then requested a new trial. Her motion was denied. In June 2021, the mother filed for an appeal with the First District Court of Appeals. In December, the 2022 opinion, a majority of a 3-panel judge affirmed the trial. However, Justice April Farias, wrote in a dissenting stating the trial court's implementation of a lifetime protective order against the parent based on facts found by mere preponderance of evidence violated Starry's rights. So 1 out of 3. My kids are gone. If you don't find me in a movie at some point, I'll be very surprised. It's sickening, and you'll need to stop.
Thank you, ma'am. Shavas Watson, and then
He moved his car, so he asked if he can, be, I guess, put towards the end.
I'll put him at the end, and
Thank you so much.
you bet. Devin Poole. And on deck will be Veriadano Ariano.
Hello. Thank you for your time. My name is Devin Poole. I'm actually also a victim of the 280th as well, 45-year protective order. Barbara Stalder's out of her mind. Kirby's not any better, but it's also my opinion that it's fundamentally flawed. Yeah, it's just too much financial incentive for attorneys who are just more concerned about billable hours, and so they thrive off of the controversy. And when you have 2 parents separating, that is peak opportunity, and they essentially go and liquidate people's estates by dragging it out. And so, I think the best thing parents can do, or anybody can do in the system, what it is being fundamentally flawed, is to represent yourself, educate yourself, and just be as aggressive as you possibly can. I do think, that the remedy for the people is in the judicial system, but you guys also sit in a unique position to be able to hold some accountability from within and speed up the process and create just a better culture. But I wanted to really I had some scriptures, I think they just got erased. But, I'm a believer in Jesus, and I believe that, the Bible says in Proverbs 28:5 that evil people don't understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand perfectly well. And so we have a force of evil in operation, the forces of greed, the forces of just deception that lay hold of human heart. So that's really what you're dealing with, is heart issues with people, regardless of how educated they are, what school they went to, what degrees they got, or whatever. They can still be susceptible to the lies of the enemy, which is Satan, who would have us turn on each other. One of my favorite scriptures is love is the fulfillment of the law, because love does no harm to one's neighbor. So when, when God gave the law to Moses, it was a bunch of injunctions. Thou shalt not do this, don't do that. But when the rabbis approached Jesus and asked him the highest command is love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it was a positive command to love others, to pour into others. And we have a call to do justice. And, also I do believe we're in the last days, or, it could be, it appears we are, but it says lawlessness will increase. And so there's going to be a separation between evil and good. And you guys have a unique opportunity to combat the evil that is being perpetuated, unfortunately, by people who are supposed to bring a remedy and bring right the wrongs. And the Lord hates an unbalanced scale, and that's exactly what we have, because we have a highly commercialized system. it even says the child support orders are a thing of value. So it's commerce that's going on. And but yeah, I appreciate your time, and I just pray for you guys that you can have the wisdom and insight that you need to deal with the systemic issue we have going on. God bless.
Viridiano Ariano, and then I've just got Devin is next.
Hi, my name is Viridiana Arellano, and I apologize by my English because I request a translator, but it wasn't, I don't think that you have any translator for me. So, I'm in the court of family court in Dallas, and my conclusion is that family court is a business. It's just a business. They don't care about our kids, and I'm the perfect example. They create a common law marriage on family court just to get my house, that is legally under my name, saying a single woman. And they, at final trial, they got it. They got the house. And my daughter, I started with an attorney that the first 2 months I paid $13,000. As a single woman, working 2 jobs, be responsible for my daughter, it was a lot of money. So I fired that attorney because he was just making the case longer and longer and longer. So I get another attorney, the same thing. Every month it was $2,000, here's your bill. Here's $8,000, $5,000. I was doing the math, it was already $40,000 in 1 year. I was like, no, that's enough. I started court watching Harris County, Tarrant County, Kaufman, Rockwell, Dallas, my own court. And I see this pattern. They just do it like judges and attorneys. They go in a room and they decide for us, for the parents. They don't care about our kids. Like multiple times I offer my opposing counsel, that is an ex-Dallas police, let's do 50-50 on custody. The house, just give me my house back. We do 50-50, no child support. I can work, he can work. He said no. Multiple times. On trial court, I told the judge, I don't care about child support. I just want my house back because I have my daughter with me. No, they invent that I was with another guy, that they brought this girl to testify. She wasn't even subpoenaed. I told the judge, she's not subpoenaed. She didn't care. She just, how do you call them? Like, she can take any decision. I subpoena another people, she didn't allow them. She said, oh no, because you didn't put on the list of discovery. I'm like, but she's subpoenaed. Okay, so now I request my transcripts. Guess what? All the transcripts are altered. You know why? Because I already record. So I see it, I have the proof that everything is a lie. They just keep billing and billing. They're destroying our families. I thought that the dream to be a USA citizen was fantastic. But no, it's a nightmare. Now I'm working on my daughter's Mexican passport. Because what about if one day they just keep my daughter and send me back to Mexico? Thank you.
Thank you. I've got just a one named Devin. If you've already spoken, please don't speak again. If that's you, you may approach. And then I've also got a one name Vividrano. If you've already spoken, yes, okay. So Cody Taylor, I believe, has already spoken. Is that correct?
Excuse me, I was supposed to be here with David Drano today, but he didn't show up for some reason. Is it all right if I speak?
Not yet. Let me get through the people that went through the process.
Yes, sir.
Cody Taylor spoken. John Van Comprianola? I'm sorry. Help me with that one.
Very few people get it right the first time.
Well,
My name's John Van Compernal. I'm here just to testify on behalf of myself. I have custody of my 8-year-old great-grandson. I've had custody of him since he was 8 months old. I fought and fought and fought in court while the judge protected through due process the parental rights of his father, who was in prison in Arkansas, and his mother, who repeatedly was arrested for drug charges and repeatedly failed in serving her probation correctly. Nobody else you've heard here was frustrated by a judge that followed due process before he violated parental rights. It took me 4 years to terminate the parenthood of my granddaughter and her boyfriend because that judge followed the law. I didn't appreciate it until I met people like this. And I hear their stories, and it breaks my heart. They're fit parents. They wouldn't be here talking like they talk if they didn't care deeply and have the ability to be a parent. And I guess for me, I thought there should be some agency to rein in an overreaching, godlike power that can just say, respect my authority if you're a South Park fan. It's just not right. And then I heard about you guys. You have that authority. Do you have the will to actually sanction and remove a judge that repeatedly violates due process rights in order to violate parental rights because he has a God complex? Please take the will to do more. Thank you.
And Shabazz Watson, make it back yet? I had one who wanted to speak who didn't file. Anyone else? That's a lot of folks. Abide by our 3 minutes. When you hear time, sit down, and I'll allow it. Start over here, just whoever's closest. Line up, talk to us. Interested in what you have to say.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Lawson. I'm here to petition against myself. I've been fighting for visitation for my daughter since 2018 in Berry County. Like I say, family court is a money-making system. Violation after violations is like a slap on the wrist to the other parent. Like I say, at the end of the day, it is the kids who are suffering. It's not in the best interest of a child for the father to be stripped of right for trying to go to enforce visitation. I had to go back to court just to get summer visitation. And now I'm going to be back in court because the mother is still not following the prescribed orders. Like I say, I encourage each and every one of you to uphold the family system because, like I say, at the end of the day, it is the children that are hurting. And when would the cycle stop? Because fathers needs their children just like children need their fathers. And on the other hand, I have seen mothers come up here that have been taken away from their family. It seems that the court system is more involved in caring about the financial responsibility of a child. Yes, we can provide financial responsibility and financial oversee, but where's the mental health? Where's the spirituality uphold for the kids? With that being said, since 2018 to today's date, I have not even spent a holiday with my daughter because every time it's time for a holiday, her mother decides not to comply. or when it's time for my weekend visitation, which will be this Friday, she would show to the station, call before I even come, and say, oh, daughter did not wish to come. Police do not wish to get involved because they say it's a civil matter, when underhandedly in the order it states primarily criminal offense. So I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to work with law enforcement, work with judicial systems, work with judges, work with even lawyers to kind of uphold the family system, because families are broken and it's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll remind all of you that didn't sign up, please state your name and state whether you're representing yourself or an organization. Ma'am?
Good morning. My name is Vinesh. I am from Harris County, Texas. I represent myself. I didn't prepare a testimony because I didn't know what to expect. I might just be another case. I might just be another parent, and you've heard so many of us, and I know nothing might even come out of it, of me coming here to telling my story and how my children got ripped away from me by Judge Sandra Peak. I know nothing might come of it. I just wanted to bring a highlight, maybe a voice to other people that went through what I went through. I was granted death penalty sanctions. My right to a jury trial was denied by Judge Peak. If that's not enough, she proceeded with a default judgment against me and granted sole custody to Dad, who had actually abandoned the children. She took my rights away to make medical decisions, which are fiercely protected constitutional right of every parent, every mother. My right to make educational decisions were taken away from her. I go to school to pick up my children. I'm treated like a criminal. Every single right, she took it away from me and she granted it to Dad. I am a medical doctor by profession. I had to sit there and watch my children go through every invasive procedure that there is out there for children, unnecessary. And I couldn't do anything because my rights are taken away. I am in appeal court appealing my case, and the judge sanctions me with contempt. I'm threatened with jail time at every hearing because how dare I try to speak against injustice and bring all this to light. I'm supposed to just quietly just walk away, have my children ripped away, and do nothing about it. If that's not enough, she granted the exclusive right to passport to Dad in the light of international abduction. And there is nothing I can do if my children get internationally abducted. That's all I had to say. And, you know, nobody else has brought the injustice that happens in Judge Sandra Peak's court at 257th. And I'm the only one who speaks about it. And I have been fiercely reprimanded for all of that, including my rights taken away, my children taken away, and I know nothing will even come out of it. And I just have to watch all of this just silently and just take it, you know. What else can I do? Because Judge Sandra Peak holds all the power and she can do whatever. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, I am Demetria Smith, and I represent Reserve Your Rights, Texas. I didn't come here to beg, and I invoke each and every last one of you oaths today. Today, we stand here as we the people, and we have a social compact, and that is the United States Constitution for America. Each and every last one of you has an oath and a bond, and you owe the American people, the beneficiary to the Constitution, a performance. And that bond secures that performance. Each and every one of these people back here are the beneficiary. We have ordained and established this Constitution. We have established this justice system. Our founding fathers left it now up to us because now we are the descendants in the homeland. And today we do not come here to beg you to do anything. You have an oath, you have a constitutional duty to exactly examine each and every judge that have that oath. Since you want to be the institution that's in place of that, we expect you to perform your duties.
Too often, the judges have reversed the courts, and they come up with this democracy. We are a republic, and we're a Republican form of government, where the people rule and not the government themselves. That is in also Texas Government Code 552.001. The people are the master. The government are the servants. With that being said, we come in to demand you all to do your job, since you promised us a performance to do that job. Each judge across America, in the United States of America, have too often made the people a slave by misidentifying the people as vessels, as cargoes, as fictitious persons, as in lieges. We are the beneficiaries in this country. So today is not the day that anybody weep and cry anymore. Do your job and perform your abilities, because you have access to the public trust. You all are the trustees and we are the beneficiaries. And now that you have access to the public trust, you have the access to the people funds. The people are always performing. Now it's your turn to perform unto your constitutional oath and your bonds that secure it. We are all in contract with each and every last one of these judges, officials, and you too. I am Demetria Smith.
My name is Robert Garza. I represent myself. I'm a father, a grandfather, and I went through family court for about 15 years. I really don't say what county, what judge, because apparently it really doesn't matter. There's a lot of them that don't do their job. So mine's just another name, another county. I didn't know that this panel existed up until about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago. But before that, I exhausted all of my resources and went through the family court system and ended up going to my state legislator to change the law when somebody uses false allegations in family court. My judge, over 43 plus judges, over 43 plus times, I was given protective orders, restraining orders to not see my kids. Now, when a judge does this, they violate your 5th Amendment right for due process, your 14th Amendment right for care, custody, and control on a precaution. They're not supposed to be able to do that, but they do it on the best interest of the child or trying to protect the child, which I get. But every time we went back to court, I tried to get my time back. Every time they gave me my child back, and the judge never did. She just said, let's save it for final trial, let's just move forward. It took 10 years to get to final trial because I wanted justice. She didn't even rule on it. Waited over 100 days to rule, and when she did rule, she ruled on things that we didn't even plead for or opposing counsel. That's another problem with today's court. I think there should be something that they should rule on before, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days max. What did y'all have for lunch last Thursday? You don't know. How can a judge do that and have there be justice? They can't. It's impossible, especially 100 days. So had to amend the Texas Family Code and went to my state senator, Angela Paxton, and introduced a bill where when somebody uses false allegations in family court and they've been proven false, when they return the child, they return the time. Now, no judge in Texas has the discretion anymore to rule on this. They shall give that time back because of what judges had the opportunity to do. Same thing with you all. You have an amazing opportunity to do what you need to do, and the numbers don't match up. I hear all these people that they've submitted cases, the numbers do not match up. Because of that, someone is going to amend what you have to do also. So I hope that you take my story and know, and just so you know, I've never been convicted, arrested. I've always been joint managing conservator. I have joint custody of my kids. A lot of these people don't. They couldn't run the gamut. I spent over $700,000 just being able to be a father in my kid's life. It shouldn't be that in Texas. It should not be that hard. Thank you for your time.
I'm Colin Bailey. I was supposed to be here with Edward Durano today, along with somewhere around about 15 other people. Same thing, just different face, different case. When I appeared in court, I was told that they already had agreements typed up and ready before I even entered court. When I asked if I could see my kids, because she was withholding them from me, she refused to still let me see my kids. It took the judge to finally tell her she can't do that to let me see them. This persisted. It took a little bit of time, but then she withheld them again for over a year. I'm not mad that I'm paying child support. I just wish to see my kids. I also don't think it's right that I was the one that provided everything for these kids up until that point, the day that she abducted them from my household. And then got a job, and because by the time we entered courts, she now had legal custody over them. And they've tried to keep me at my place, trying to tell me that I don't have rights to say or do whatever I want with my kids. From there, I was, they provided supervised visitations. She tried having me arrested from the premises. I was CT'd. I had to wait 2 to 3 months for another court date to enter to even ask to see for another place to see my kids. It is continuously happened with this court case. It's like I said, I've probably seen my kids less than a third of what I should have seen them so far. When they filed my child support, they filed it a little over 50%. I think at the time it was right at 62% of my income for 3 kids. I don't make a lot. Like I said, it was minimum wage. Like I said, I don't know what their side of the story was for Edward Durano, but I was also told that I was one of many people that were dealing with the same issues, where they couldn't see their kids or had the time to fight or even show up. I'm just asking, what can we do to fix it, and if it's going to get fixed at all? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all very much for allowing us that got here late to speak to y'all. My name is Christopher Perricone from Palo Pinto County, is where my case was being held at the 29th. I didn't have any intention of really speaking, although after listening to the people that are here, I'm compelled to speak because the majority of cases y'all probably deal with are people that have lost their children from these courts that are corrupt. And there was a time in our country when you would say a black robe, like the Black Robe Regiment, was a very positive thing. If it was men and ministers, really, that would defend the family. Now we say black robe, and it terrifies me because now I see them as these judges that destroy the family. I was in the military. I served in special ops combat tours, and I took an oath, just as the lady said, just as we say in our Pledge of Allegiance, to the Republic. It's a rule of law, not this good old boy system, democracy where majority rules. It's a rule of law. I was the elected mayor of a town 4 years ago. The last time I saw my kids in that possession then was December 21st, 2019. And my children were taken away from me, and I have not seen them since with no reason. And most recently, on June 10th, I'll say this from Judge Moore, because I dared to pray with my children when I was able to see them in school after I found out where they were hidden, and I pray with my son. I share scripture with him. The judge declares that as family violence. Therefore, all your rights are severed under temporary orders. Now, I don't come here to complain and gripe. I want to stand with everybody that's standing before y'all to implore y'all to do your job, but I want to offer a suggestion, a solution possibly. Underneath the Texas Family Code 105.001 chart or echo, it says that no interlocutory orders can be appealed. The majority, and I have not looked into how many cases y'all have had, but I believe that probably the majority of cases y'all deal with are stemming from temporary orders that people like myself have no avenue for remedy. I've gone through the appellate court. The appellate court says, oh, you can't do anything, even though I have gross violations, to include aggravated kidnapping and extortion. The appeal does not work because it's a temporary order. So the only other avenue is a writ of mandamus. How many people are going to spend the time to go through a writ of mandamus on temporary orders? And these temporary orders, we're not talking just temporary for a week, 2 weeks. These stem out for years where children are taken away. A fundamental right that we all have as Americans. Same reason I fought to defend our country. I would suggest if y'all can change just 105-001 Echo, it would have tremendous impact so that we have an avenue to appeal this. As an indigent, we can't even do a writ of mandamus because we can't pay for the records. So it is repugnant to the Constitution, as Mayberry Madison would say. And I'll close with this. A friend used to always quote it all the time, says that all that's necessary for evil to flourish, and y'all know the rest of it, is for good men to do nothing. I'm imploring y'all to stand up and do something.
Good morning. My name is Dr. J. I'm from Dallas, and I'm representing myself. I'm here to point out some very bad, irresponsible behavior and wrongdoings by Judge Givens. She's been the presiding judge at 282 Judicial District Court in Dallas, Texas. During the trial, she violated my rights, and she broke the rule, U.S. Constitution -6 Maryland versus Craig 497 U.S. 836 844 1990. She does not allow my family to get inside the court, restrict them, my wife and my children, during my court proceeding. She also changed the whole setup of the court. She changed the placing of the witnesses, jury. The jury was sitting inside into the lobby. And it was just a chaotic situation. The light was dim. She also broke the law, and she had basically put the mask on everyone's face, even though at that time it was not necessary. And due to that, behind the plexiglasses, you cannot see the witnesses, you cannot see the accusers, you cannot see anything because everybody was covered. And several times it's been pointed out by my attorneys, but she did not make any change in there. She just basically, running the whole court looked like that, she's untouchable. I want you to understand it, that no judge is above the law. It should not be. And you guys, I'm glad that at least here somewhere, who need to see these things. You guys not only owe to the public, but you owe to yourself how you can allow this thing happening. I'm surprised this meeting is every 2 years. Why not every 6 months? Do you have understanding in 2 years how many people in the pipeline and how many wrongdoing can happen to them, and they've been thrown into the jail because of some judge arrogant and stupid behavior? I'm sorry, my language, but I'm very, very upset about this thing. And I hope, coming from all the way over here, just to say this thing, it will do. This judge is being under the investigation and have a lot of complaints since 2015. There are 2 years investigation done by the Texas Rangers on her behavior. But she's still doing this thing, and every 2 years, imagine how many thousands of people probably gone to the jail. In my case, I was fortunate enough that I basically filed for another trial, which I've been granted, because the basis of so much wrongdoing happened in that court. But I don't believe other people are as fortunate as I am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't usually do this and get in front of people. I didn't prepare a testimony, but I felt compelled as well, and there's lots of people here. My name is Kai Andrews. I moved to Texas 2 years ago. My case is out of Bell County. I just wanted to say this. I was at court yesterday, and I spoke with an attorney who does criminal and family law. And the words out of his mouth scare me. There is way more money to be made in family law, and that should tell you everything. Children are being ripped away from good parents to keep parents fighting, spending money. I have lost $300,000, my house. I'm in an appeal because a judge took my daughter away from me. And I am a good mother. And she cries every single day for me on that phone. No due process, no evidence, just to keep me coming back because they saw my bank account and now it's gone. But the person that is hurting is my daughter. I don't think that implementing new laws like Robert Garza did, although it is a wonderful SB 718, wonderful step, we implement these laws, but they're not followed. You guys are putting new laws in there and telling us to abide by orders, but you don't even do that yourselves. Do what I say, not what I do. That's what I think family court is. That's what I think this judicial system in the family court is sometimes. Not everybody, of course. But I've been through court in 2 different states, family court, dragged through it, and I haven't seen much different. And my case is out of Bell County, 169th. I just think there needs to be a different way. Why is family court the most profitable business? Why are we using kids as pawns? Why are coercive controllers and abusers getting away with this, and you guys are not being educated enough to recognize that? Men and women, fathers and mothers. We have to implement education, I think. You need to be able to recognize the truth, recognize what is really going on, and you guys have to be the ones to stop the bleed. Because I can't keep doing it. And at what point is my daughter going to say, my mom didn't keep fighting for me because she couldn't? How am I going to provide a home for my daughter when I get her back, when everything I have has been taken from me? I don't think that implementing new laws is the way. You guys need to stand up and educate and recognize. Thank you for your time.
Won't start my time yet. I'm Chevis Watson, Executive Director of Service Agency Working Group 512 here in Austin. On January 22nd, 2024, I witnessed the actions and threats taken by Judge Damian Kirby, Harris County Family Court in the 280th. I was there in the public interest of my friend Kyle French. I want you to look at Kyle. He's no different than you. Just a father, an employee, entrepreneur, no different than you. Upon entering the courtroom, I was immediately yelled at to remove my hat, to remove my jacket, to strip naked, give my phone number. I stepped back, I said, is this the judicial conduct in the American jurisprudence? Do you all take oaths to the American jurisprudence? Absolutely. But you also take oaths to the Constitution. And I'm here to tell you that my rights are being trampled. I watched my friend lose the right, the access to his daughter for months, so many months that people forgot that he even existed. His family court hearing was turned into a criminal hearing. And the judge knew that his life was under threat in the Harris County Jail. Guess what? They threw him back in there. When they got out, they threatened him with more criminality in the Fort Bend County Jail. Again, do judges have unyielding power? Or are they merited by those oaths that you take? I am right now. Let me back up a little bit. I'm nothing but a poor man. You see me in my slippers. And I want you to read the shirt. Don't kill for me. I'm in Judge Waldrop's court in Harris County. And in the affidavit submitted by my ex, there's all this unmerited stuff about me doing cocaine and being unsafe for my son. And guess what? It's all immaterial. There's no probative value. It's all prejudicial. But who do I go to in Harris County? Do I go to Ed Salazar? Or do I have to be really radical and file a lien on Judge Waldrop and threaten all of her assets? Again, I should not have to do that. I should be able to come before the court and say, the affidavit is frivolous. There's no finding here. There's no finding of fact. Again, I watched my friend get thrown in jail with no finding of fact, no threat of violence. I can only tell you I'm frightened, and that puts me under duress. How can I even be judged as reasonable in the hearing? Again, you all need, I'm not here to necessarily tell you what to do. But if you keep going on the same trend, more lives here in Texas will be destroyed. And it won't just be black lives. It won't just be Latino lives. It'll be lives of white men and white women. The same issue in Harris County is in Dallas County, Galveston County, Taylor County. I need you all to review the words of everybody here and make the righteous change. You have an oath. If you don't, I will be in your courtroom as a court watcher to remind you of your American jurisprudence oaths. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You've already spoken. I appreciate it, but you've already spoken, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your passion. It's appreciated. Some of you have traveled hundreds of miles to be here. We are in recess. Thank you.
I want to thank all of y'all for showing up. It means a big thing because this is my third time here.